What the fuck is up, MAGFest? Are all y'all ready to learn about some anime titties? Hell yeah, let's go. I am twitch.tv/MercurialLink. I play a fuck ton of unhinged anime dating sims, and I'm here to talk to you guys about a lot of them. We're not going to get through all of them, but we're going to get through a lot. So before we begin, I have some housekeeping matters that we need to attend to because this is a panel for adults, and we have some things that we got to talk about. Number one, this presentation is going to contain spoilers. It's going to contain spoilers for a lot of dating sims. If you have not played through a route and you're wondering to yourself, am I going to hear things that I didn't want to hear about this route that might make me, already know the ending? The answer is yeah, you are. So if that's a big concern to you guys, this is not the panel that you should come to. Come back next year if they let me back into this building. They haven't seen this yet. They don't know. Number two, this presentation will contain adult images. Yeah! This presentation contains adult images from games that feature sexual content and a little bit of violence too. If that's going to be upsetting, I just want you to know off the gate, we're going to talk about some weird shit. If that's not your shit, this is not the place for you. Oh my goodness gracious. Number three, this presentation will contain aspects of audience participation. Please don't be lewd to the audience participants. You should also definitely not be lewd to my lovely assistant. Everyone clap. This is my lovely assistant, Fifi. She will be helping me find human sacrifices throughout the show. Volunteers. Everyone clap for Fifi. All right, we're all clear on the ground rules. Let's fucking go. If you break them, it will be bad. We all know dating sims have gotten crazier and crazier. They will do your federal income taxes. They will teach you Japanese. They will help you start a business and fight your rival and maybe start a war between heaven and hell. Who knows? You can date Nicolas Cage. You can date Nicolas Cage twice in two different Nicolas Cage dating sims. These are two different games. So what are we doing here in this presentation? Now that we've established we have a fuck ton of crazy dating sims out there in the world, in this presentation we're going to unpack what actually is a dating sim. What does it mean to have a game that's a dating simulator? We're going to look at some historical examples while we do that, and we're going to see what this genre was like when it first started. We're going to discuss what makes these dating sims unhinged. What makes an unhinged dating sim different than a normal dating sim? And finally, I will unveil my research and ranking system to determine which are the best dating sims and that you guys should just go play tonight at 1:30 in the morning. Who am I to tell you what's a good dating sim? I am a professional purveyor of heinous anime nonsense. I have played thousands of hours of probably over 100 anime dating sims, some of them bordering on the hentai, some of them very cute, and I'm here to present the results of that research. Now it's time for our first aspect of audience participation. Now I'm going to hold your hands while we walk through this first one. You guys will get the hang of it. But what we're going to do, I have a multiple choice question. It's going to go up. We're going to read it. Fifi is going to find a willing volunteer to answer that question publicly, maybe humiliate themselves, we'll see. Just raise your hands for her. She's going to bring you up to this mic in the middle over there. You also get a treat for doing that. Once I have read the question, I'm going to click through. There's a QR code, and you will all be able to participate by using that QR code on your phones to vote in the poll. Everyone clear? All right, let's go. Our first question, which of the following is not the premise of a currently existing dating sim? A, your horse god blood allows you to see the true beauty in your uncle's horse. B, in ancient Greece, you're a chariot with 1 week to romance one of your favorite raggers before the fight of your life. C, a trash witch tries to break a blood curse and woos their cat coworkers. Or D, can you help your classmate, a Tyrannosaurus Rex, replace his ukulele and fall in love in the process? Fifi, find me a volunteer. Here's the QR code. If you have not been chosen as a volunteer, you should take a picture of that QR code. If that QR code is not working for you, I cannot help you. I'm so sorry. I don't know if MAGFest tech support can help me with this third-party application that I've done.
Not with that attitude!
Damn, okay, maybe they can. All right, and as you vote through, I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds to vote. Fifi, do we have a willing human sacrifice?
Right here. I'm fairly certain I've played the 3 that are real, so I'm going with B.
B? All right. Our volunteer thinks it's B. In ancient Greece, you're a chariot with a week to romance one of your favorite riders. Let me go ahead and click through to the answers. Let me see what you guys said. All right, we've got a couple of votes for A, lot of votes for B, a significant amount for C, and then a couple for the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Interesting choices, everybody. Let's see what the answer is. The answer is B. Our audience participant was correct. Thank you so much. Good work. For now, anyway. If anyone's inspired, go for it. The other games, obviously, my Horse Prince, the famous mobile game. Hustle Cat is the Trash Witch. Fuck yeah, we got some people of taste in the audience. Let's go. And finally, Jurassic Heart. A game that is so weird, it seems so unlikely that it would be real. But yes, you do seduce your Tyrannosaurus Rex classmate while helping him replace his ukulele. Amazing. So here's the question. What makes a dating sim? I'm going to caveat this. This is not a definition that I took from somewhere. This isn't like Merriam-Webster defines a dating sim as. No. This is a definition that I have come up with through my research. If you disagree with it, I mean, fuck you, I guess. Why are you here? All right, deconstructing the dating sim. What qualifies and what does not qualify? So the primary goal of the game, both its mechanics and its plot, must be romance. So games like Stardew Valley, where you do have explicit romantic options, because the overarching plot is not solely exclusively the romance, that is out. The same thing with horny chess. It may be horny, Fire Emblem 3 Houses. It's horny, but it's still chess, okay? The romance must be explicitly textual, whether it is smooching, sexing, or, for you filthy, filthy, filthy degenerates, hand-holding. That means games like Fate Grand Order or Genshin Impact, which have a mechanic where you build bonds or friendship that's not explicitly sexual. I culled those out as well.
I need an adult.
Too bad. You must be able to fail the smooch. There have to be meaningful choices, whether it's a choice in terms of who you're going to romance, what stats you're going to increase, what choices you're going to make in the storyline. We're talking about things which are not just visual novels. We're talking about things where you're actually playing a game and making choices. We all love webtoons and visual novels. We love the sexy ones. There are not dating sims. That's another category of wonderful, excellent things that we don't have time to talk about. So I culled those out as well. That means I regret to inform you that I am not insured. The dating sim put out by a Japanese life insurance company to teach the youth about life insurance is not technically a dating sim by this definition, because the entire point of the game is to resist the life insurance idol and not go on a date with him. So it technically does not qualify. But it is funny. Unfortunately, you cannot play this through yourself unless you're Japanese and have a Japanese life insurance policy. I tried very hard to figure out how I could get my hands on this. I only had to watch a playthrough. But it is hilarious. It's time for another round of audience participation. Fifi, if you would. I'm going to read the question. The earliest dating sim in Japan was made by a company that also produced A, Castlevania, B, Sonic the Hedgehog, C, Resident Evil, or D, Final Fantasy XIV. Now, this is a double twofer because you have to know what the dating sim was, and then you also have to know what company produced it and all of these 4 games. So I'll put this QR code. I didn't mention this before, but if you leave the page up, Once it's in your browser, it should refresh. I'm just going to keep these up just in case. But if you leave that browser page open, as I get to the next question, it should switch over. I tried to be really tech smart with this, but we'll see how far I got. Any volunteers? Human sacrifices for Fifi. She needs to eat tonight, folks.
I'm coming from behind you.
By the way, Fifi has not seen this presentation. So don't hold this against her. She doesn't know what's coming.
Hi. Castlevania.
All right, we have a vote for Castlevania. Awesome. All right, let's see what the general vibe of the crowd was. What did you guys think? All right, most of our votes are for Castlevania. We got 56%. We got 8% for Sonic, 20% for Resident Evil, 16% for Final Fantasy. Question that split the room a little more. Let's find out what the answer was. The correct answer is Sonic the Hedgehog. One of the earliest pioneers of the dating sim genre was Girls' Garden. It was developed and published by Sega in 1984, and before anyone in this fucking crowd, well, actually, it started as a Hawaiian company, it wasn't Japanese. Sega moved to Japan in 1952, fuck you. So let's talk about it. Girls' Garden. This is one of the first dating sims that was produced. It was the debut creation of Sonic's creator, Yuji Nima. It was not a visual novel. In fact, this game had a lot more in common with Donkey Kong than it does modern dating sims. It involves trying to avoid angry bears that are running at you. You have to jump over them and collect various flowers. It also has some really interesting time mechanic with the flowers, where if you have them too soon, they will not be opened and your lover will not accept them. If you have them too long, they will wither and die, like your love. And this is a game that has a singular love interest. It doesn't have a whole harem to choose from. You're just giving your flowers to one person. So let's talk about the rise of the visual novel dating sim, because very quickly, dating sims became something that looks more like a visual novel. And when I say visual novel, what I mean is a game that has mostly a couple of sheets of art, and most of the gameplay involves clicking through dialogue trees as opposed to operating a character. This is Tenchi Dachi no Gogo. It was released in 1985. It's one of the earliest dating sims that we would recognize as being visually anime. It's a visual novel format. It's one of the first dating sims, like I said, that's recognizably anime. You have a singular love interest, but to seduce her, this is very interesting, you have to seduce all of her friends first. Denshi Tachi no Gogo truly said, if you want to be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. And it had more adult and pornographic elements. You guys ready to see some pornography? Raise your hand if being shown anime titties by Isabelle from Animal Crossing was on your 2024 bingo sheet. I mean, it is now. So basically, you play as the main character who is a high school student, and he's trying to seduce the star player of the tennis team. Let's move on. We're going to talk about Tokyusuke. I know. This is the remix cover. It's not the original cover. It's prettier. Shut up. This was released in 1992. It's more of an eroge. It gets closer to hentai than the dating sim genre. Again, we see a main character who's a high school boy. He's trying to romance one of his high school classmates, or, one of the adults in his life, like the school nurse. It contains a lot of what I might describe as more modern tropes, so making fun of the player character for being too horny, breaking the fourth wall, including a truly unforgettable scene where you're faking groin pain to have an excuse to go flirt with the nurse and show her, what's going on in your pants. And she starts making fun of you, the player, for being horny, forces you to undress until you're begging her to stop. And yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It's called the police bad. Also, it was one of the earliest uses of time mechanics in dating sims. This is a game that focuses, again, on trying to have heart events with various girls. You have basically a limited amount of money that you can use to take girls on dates, which is sort of what dating in 2024 is like. But this is basically a game that set up a lot of the more modern dating tropes. All right. Yes, and it got 14 diggable endings, including a harem ending, which is also, I think, something that's a little more progressively modern, if you will. I will also point out, let's take a look at this tasteful nude photography here. One of the things that's really cool about this and other games from the early 90s, the like side scrollers on the walls are like absolutely beautiful. This entire game, it spawned like 4 sequels. All of them have really cool like borders for the games. It's awesome. You know, tasteful nude photography. Let's talk about Tokimeki Memorial. Yeah, fuck yeah. So Tokimeki Memorial, when we talk about historical dating sims, I think if you played dating sims in the 90s, yes, this was the dating sim. Every game that came after it was trying to remake Tokimeki Memorial, and I think that's actually a matter of like historical record. I hate using the words historical record to refer to events in the 90s, but here we are in 2024. Tokimeki Memorial is a huge breakthrough in the genre popularity. Other games had sold very well, but this was the game that sort of put dating sims on the map in Japan. We have a male main character, all female dating options. This game's big shtick, if you will, is that if your friendship dipped too low with any given girl or you were like lying to them or something, they would go and in-game, they're spreading rumors to all their friends. So they're acting like real high school girls. They're all talking behind your back. And your hearts with every single girl will dip down as a result. Those bitches, yeah. But I mean, it's a cool dating sim that encourages you to see at least a little bit of every single girl's route as you play each time, which I think is interesting. It's a little frustrating if you're trying to like see it quickly, but you know, it is what it is. It emphasizes stat increases, time management, including a combat scenario where you get cornered by bullies and then you have a fight. I'm not used to seeing combat in my dating sims, but here it is. The plot of this game is pretty straightforward as well. High school boy, female classmates. There's a magic tree. If the girl confesses her love to you under the magic tree, you're bonded forever in love. This game was a little more wholesome. It's still definitely on the hornier side. The art for the original is very cute. They remade the original. It is available on Steam, and they did recently release a patch that restored the pornography. Whoop. Wholesome. And we are going to talk about otome games. We're not quite there yet, but I didn't have time because we have so many games to get through. Tokimeki Memorial Girls' Side is one of the many, many sequels that came out of Tokimeki Memorial. The Girls' Side edition was functionally the same game, except the genders were swapped, so it was a female main character and male dateable options. However, it added 2 components. Number 1, you have a rival now for your lover's affection, and number 2, there's a shopping mechanic. So I guess it's fair to say that what the people who made this game for the Nintendo DS were thinking is that all girls want is another girl to compete with and to go shopping. And you know what? Honestly, they were fucking right, because this game also spawned like 10 million sequels, its own anime, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, this was hugely popular. I cannot overstate the popularity of Tokimeki Memorial or its cultural significance. The last game I want to talk about, Sentimental Graffiti. Sentimental Graffiti is kind of an out there pick, but I thought it had some really interesting mechanics, so I wanted to bring it up here. It's an attempt that was directly made to capitalize on the popularity of Tokimeki Memorial. In fact, the creator was quoted as saying, "I wanted to make a Tokimeki-like game." The male main character is seeking to romance one of his female classmates. This is a familiar trope by now. We got classmates in love. It's cute. It's wonderful. It's not pornographic in the slightest. Not pornographic in the slightest, you guys. Wholesome. But this game's hook, if you will, is that at the beginning of the game, you, the character, receive a note that says, "I want to meet." It's not signed. Now, when you were in middle school, you traveled all over Japan. You went to like 5 or 6 different cities. So you've got girls in different area codes, if you will. And you now have to figure out which girl wrote this letter and reconnect with her. So it has some really interesting mechanics that have to do with traveling the length of Japan. There's a hitchhiking mechanic. There's timed places that you need to be in order to have special events with your loved ones. And you have to get back to school in Tokyo Monday morning. So all of these things have to be balanced together. It's a pretty challenging game to actually successfully romance one of the 12 dateable options. And truly, it did underscore the popularity of dating sims. The people wanted it. When the Saturn version of this game was released in Japan, it was the best-selling game in the country. I mean, people are fucking horny. This is not pornography. This is a map. So unless you're a cartographer, I put this up there because I think it's an interesting game. One thing I'll add about this game is that it's like very nostalgic. If you played games in the 90s, this is a game that's going to give you like a really feel-good, wholesome sort of love of the genre. I've always known you were perverted degenerates. That's why you're here. Helltaker, fuck yeah! We got some people with taste in here, for sure. Okay, let's talk really quickly about Otome. This is games for women by women. Let's go. It's time before we get started, though, for some more audience participation. Fifi, if you would. All right, in Mystic Messenger, what happens if you refuse to enter the building that the mysterious person texting you directs you to go at the beginning of the game? A, the game will proceed as normal. B, you are kidnapped. C, you get blown up. Or D, a character who is not available in the base game will appear. And let me click through. Is there anyone who's still struggling with the QR code, or can we click through? All right, we can click through. Fifi, we have a volunteer? All right, human sacrifice, what do you think?
Kidnapped.
Kidnapped, all right. We have a vote for B. If that affects your answer, so be it. But remember, we've had audience members be right. We've had audience members be wrong. Follow your heart. All right, let's take a look at what the responses say. Oh, okay, we split the room on this a lot. The game will proceed as usual. You are kidnapped, you get blown up, and the biggest answer is a character not available in the base game will appear. I'll admit I needed to clarify something, but I'll clarify that in a second. B, you are kidnapped. If you refuse to enter Rika's apartment during the prologue, the mysterious person who's texting you will kidnap you and bring you to Mintai for re-education. And yes, that is him if you can't read in the far back saying, "You want to scream? Shh. Then I'll have to force you to shut up, so you'd better be quiet." I do have to clarify, though, because technically he is not romanceable in the base game, so it appears in the base game. I need to be a little bit more clear about that. I realized as I was looking at that, I was like, ooh, if you've played this, you know. Sorry about that, guys. So a lot of Otome today looks like this, right? We have a lot of very popular mobile games that have to do with like harem dating. These are, I think, some of the most popular, at least in the last few years, Mystic Messenger being one example. In 2017, it won like Game of the Year at the Korea Game Awards. Love and Producer, or Mr. Love, Queen's Choice, depending on how you translate it. It generated, $3 million in a single day the week it was released. Obey Me, Shall We Date surpassed 8 million downloads last year. These games are hugely popular. We're talking about millions and millions of dollars in this industry. But I do want to take us back to where it started. In 1994, the dating sim business was booming, and Ruby Party, an all-female team of developers, which is dope as hell, made Angelique with an eye specifically towards female gamers, which is dope as hell. You serve as the future possible potential queen of the cosmos, attempting to date the guardians who serve as your advisors. Now, when I test ran this panel for a friend, his immediate response is, "That sounds like a conflict of interest." And the reality is, if you do date a guardian, you have to forfeit being queen, which is a very interesting choice. And it adds a little bit of tension and realism. There's 8 different guardians that you can date, and you are competing against another girl. So we see the existence of a rival. This game is very cute. It's not as pornographic. It's a lot more fantasy-based. It's not really visual novel, text-heavy in the same way. But it's very cute. You guys should play this game. And Albaria no Otome is from the same genre, mid to late 90s. This is another game that was specifically geared towards young women. You have to choose between becoming the sacred maiden or falling in love with one of the 5 holy knights. We know the drill. You compete with 2 other girls. You got 2 rivals now. And the goal is to choose, basically, you get taken to study to be the holy maiden. You pick different classes to take. If you study magic, your magic in battle is more powerful. If you go to the gym and train, your physical attacks are more powerful. The fun thing about this game, it's very anti-damsel in distress, so the better you do in a fight, the more hearts you gain with the knights. So they'll show up, they'll take you on like field trips to go fight things. Again, rivals. Yojinbo. Now this is an interesting title to put up here for a game that had, I think, not quite as much cultural significance. Has anyone here played Yojinbo? Okay, a couple of people. Awesome, awesome. So I put this up here because I think by the mid-2000s, we were starting to see thousands of relatively identical visual novel games flooding the market. These were so easy to produce because all you need is to write the dialogue tree. If you have, 5 or 6 backgrounds and then a couple of character expressions, you can make a whole game relatively quickly because it takes a lot less time to animate and draw than other types of games. Yojinbo was one of the first games that was actively translated by its producer for an American market. The shtick of this game is you play as a high school teenager. You're in the archaeology club. You find, when you go on this archaeological dig for your class, this magic amulet. That night, you go home, you have a vivid, bloody dream about the death of Princess Hatsuhime of the Mochizuki clan, and then you wake up in her body before her murder. And now you have gone back in time to feudal Japan. They're not really specific about when, so don't at me. And you have to stop her murder before it happens. And there are 6 Ronin that you can romance along the way. Relatively normal fare. I think this is sort of like rote stuff that people were a little bit tired of. It's a visual novel. There's dialogue tree choices. It's a pretty game. It's fine. There's nothing terribly wrong with it. I will say this, and this is not the fault of the Japanese creators of this game. In the English localization, which you can get off of JList for $18, when Princess Hatsuhime introduces herself, she talks about elephantitis with her advisor. She references the TV show ER. She proceeds to monologue at you in Spanish. She quotes music lyrics like, "I'm coming up, so you better get this party started." And then she yells, "Peace out," and leaves. We weren't really trying for historical accuracy. And honestly, the English localization team did not give a fuck. I mean, it really got the Ghost Stories treatment. Hell yeah! So I think this is a good example of games that people were tired of, that were sort of rote and heartless. I'll add one thing, and this is the Japanese writer's fault, so I will critique the game on this. The game is called Yojinbo. Yojinbo in Japanese translates roughly to bodyguards. Now there are 3 Ronin that you can meet that are introduced to you at the same time, and their nicknames are Yo, Jin, and Bo. So half of your dateable options in this game exist to prop up a pun in the title. It is what it is. If you want to get drunk and yell "what the fuck" at the screen repeatedly at 2 o'clock in the morning, like I did when I played this game, you definitely should. It's a good time. All right, so brief review. Themes of early dating sims. When we talk about games targeted towards young boys, we're talking about classmates in love. There tend to be more pornographic. We're talking basically very realistic-ish, like definitely fantastical in the sense like sexual fantasy, but not magical fantasy. They are exclusively heterosexual in either direction. There are a few exceptions in the BL genre that we don't have time to discuss. I had to cut that section because I was cutting in at 90 minutes and I have an hour. But by and large, the big popular games that were not like cult popularity, that's what we're looking at. The games that were geared towards girls, we're looking at often there's a rival, and often there's more fantastical elements. You're a princess, you're a queen, you're a holy maiden, you're a princess. Maybe we could expect to have seen that based on everyone's understanding of gender roles, but Nice to have that confirmed by what we can actually track down and research. Tend to be text-heavy, visual novel, dialogue tree choices, and we have already breaking the fourth wall, tragging the player for being too horny, all of those good tropes that are still present. All right, so what makes it unhinged? What makes a dating sim unhinged? This is one of my favorite shots from My Horse Prince, a game that I did play through. I'm so sorry to say that. But before we do, let's talk about the pigeon in the room! Fuck yeah! Let's talk about fucking some birds. So, one of the things that's so culturally significant about Hatoful Boyfriend is this. It's not the first game, it's not like the thing that opened the door, but it certainly was the biggest one that made a shift from big companies, Konami, Comcast, Elf, producing these games and putting them into the hands of smaller indie developers as opposed to big companies. It was developed by manga artist Hatomoa by herself. She made this game originally as a April Fool's Flash game. It was not originally going to be like a big thing. It was so popular that it crashed the hosting website twice. And her intent when she set out to expand this game and make the game that we now know as Hatoful Boyfriend, the hugely successful, like topped the Steam charts for years, Hatoful Boyfriend, that's still almost a decade and a half later, has such huge cultural significance. She wanted to make something ridiculous and crazy that had super deep lore. I mean, the jury's out. Kind of, maybe? Yes, that was a joke. It's time for audience participation. Fifi, if you would. Speaking of the unhinged, in Hatoful Boyfriend, why is Hiyoko allowed to attend an all-boys pigeon school? A, caring for the pigeons who remain there as ghosts. B, no reason is ever given in the game. C, as an emissary of peace in the Berg Wars. Or D, to curb gang violence in the school. And let me click through if you need the QR code. I'm not seeing anyone struggling with their phones too much, but just we'll leave it up just in case. Like I said, it should still work. Let me take us through. Fifi, we have a volunteer? Hello, Human Sacrifice.
Hello.
What is your call?
C.
C. All right, it's an emissary of peace in the Berg Wars. Let's go. Let me see if I can move to the responses. The technology in this PowerPoint is much smarter than I am. Okay, we got a couple for no answer. We got no reason. Couple for gang violence, mostly for emissary of peace in the Berg Wars. I can see that we have a crowd with really good taste in dating sims. I'm so glad that you are all here tonight with us. The correct answer is, as an emissary of peace in the Berg Wars. In Hatoful Boyfriends, bonus route Hurtful Boyfriend. Once you've completed, I think it's 5, maybe 6 of the base routes of the game successfully, you will get a pop-up. It says, do you want to learn the secrets of the school? Obviously, you say yes. First of all, if anyone ever asks you, do you want to learn a secret? The answer is yes. Yes, of course. What you do with that is up to you, but you want to know. But in the bonus route, Hurtful Boyfriend, we learn that actually this school and the pigeons that are very human-like at the school is a result of a deadly bird flu that decimated most of the human population. And when the scientists who were dealing with this massive flu decided to en masse kill all the birds, they mutated and developed a human-like intelligence, causing a 30-year war with the humans and the Human Liberation Front. You, Hiyoko, are one of the few humans who is immune to the bird virus. And so you have been sent to the school as a gesture of goodwill to show that humans can still live with birds, even though birds aren't real. By the way, in this route, you spend about 5 minutes in the protagonist's body because what happens is you get called up to the nurse's office, the perspective shifts to that of your best friend, and you are never heard from again. That is until one of the pigeon students at the school brings down a bunch of boxes to the classroom and they start dripping red liquid, and then your classmates open them and it's your fucking dismembered body and they have to solve your murder. So, I guess it goes to show that actually we can't coincide with the birds. Real men fight in the nude. I'd have to be a really sad girl to be fantasizing about bird eggs in the school infirmary. That may be so, but you know that we doves reach sexual maturity within a year of birth. I read this line for the first time and had to chug an entire glass of liquor, get up, and walk away from the game for a solid 20 minutes. It's so out of pocket. There is no context to this statement. It literally comes out of nowhere. You're talking to the dove and you hear this, and it's like, bitch, I didn't even ask. This is a Wendy's. What makes a game unhinged? Non-human love interests or unconventional love interest choices. The narrator, pigeons, Tyrannosaurus rexes. Unconventional methods of romance and game mechanics. So something more than a dialogue tree. Maybe doing satanic rituals or destroying buildings together. Plot twists or genre switch-ups. I'll say Hatoful Boyfriend definitely has a big plot twist switch-up, but there's another game that we'll talk about very shortly. Fourth wall breakage in weird and unsettling ways. That was a good reference. Well done. And deliberate self-awareness of the genre. One thing that I've noticed about the most unhinged games, a lot of dating sims have this sort of superficial semblance of a plot. Oh, you're a businessman and your maids are here and you have to pick one from your harem. If you interrogate this for even 30 seconds, it's that's a huge HR violation. No one's walking around like that. Call fucking OSHA. This is borderline human trafficking. The unhinged anime dating sims, they said, hold my beer, let's dig. And they grabbed some fucking shovels. We go. Come on. No? All right. There we go. A case study in the Unhinged. Sorry about that. I actually felt my internal organs drop through the floor down to the basement for a second when this wasn't working. I take it from the screams in the audience, we know Doki Doki Literature Club? A little? Okay. Yeah, Doki Doki Literature Club is this really cute game, and the way you play it is you go to the literature club with a very cute girl next door who has a totally normal end route, and what happens is you have to pick the girl that you're in love with by using different types of poetry. It's really adorable. If you use cute nostalgic words, the girl next door will be more attracted to you. If you use melancholy romantic with a capital R words, the beautiful and mysterious Yuri will like you. It really depends on the type of poetry you want to write and what kind of girl you want to write love letters to. And then Sayori fucking kills herself! And hangs herself in her room. And you restart the game, and what happens? Sayori isn't there. And your game starts glitching out. Yuri starts handing you letters covered in blood. Natsuki doesn't have a fucking face anymore. As one does, totally normal. Truly, some of those traumatizing scenes exist in this game. If you played through to the end, you will know that Yuri stabs herself repeatedly in the stomach, and then you sit in the classroom with her dead body for 3 continuous days of in-game time. You watch the light change as rigor mortis sets into her body. It is traumatizing. I will note, by the way, that when I was studying for the bar exam, I had a really, really, really bad day. And I was like, I'm so sad. I'm really having a rough time. I need to play a cute, happy game. And that's the mindset that I played Doki Doki Literature Club in. It did not help. Eventually, what happens with this game, Monica, the president of the literature club, pops up. She admits to having murdered every single girl in the literature club because she wants to be alone with you forever. She will take over your desktop computer. She will not let you have control. And you have to go into your own library to delete the Monica file out of it. By the way, she's not an actual virus. She will go away after 50 minutes if you just leave it be. The game will time out. It's not going to destroy your computer. It's time for more audience participation. Fifi, if you would, which of these games can you take the narrator on a date in? Doki Doki Ragnarok, Hooked on You, a Dead by Daylight dating sim. Fuck yeah. Max Gentleman's Sexy Business, or Monster Prom. And let me go ahead, I'll put the QR code up.
Do you guys know?
Mike, it's Dead by Daylight.
Is it a video?
Yeah?
Are you sure?
No.
Do you guys know?
I don't. Dead by Daylight doesn't exist.
Fifi, have you found me a sacrifice? Hello, human sacrifice.
Hello.
What do you think the answer is?
Do I give my answer now?
Yes.
I don't know, but I'm gonna say Monster Prom.
Monster Prom. All right, we have one guess for Monster Prom.
Thank you.
Let me see if I can see what the crowd voted for. Okay, we got a couple split between the first three, but most of the audience, 56%, seem to agree with you. The correct answer is, in fact, Monster Prom. You can take the narrator on a date, and boy howdy, what a narrator. So Mark, where do you come into all this? This is how I play video games, in a totally normal, absolutely neurotypical way that everyone else plays video games. This is how I tracked all the secret endings in Monster Prom. I have done this with 30 to 50 different dating sims, and I have developed through this process a ranking criteria designed to tell you, fine folks, here at MAGFest 2024, what the ultimate dating sim, unhinged anime dating sim is. So what are we doing here? These are some of the games that I have played. Yes, fuck yeah! Sucker for Love, let's go! Hustle Cat, Lover Watch. I know. I did play it. I know. Romancylvania, Hooked on You, Doki Doki Ragnarok, Boyfriend Dungeon, and Crush Crash. A weird take on this list, by the way, but you know, again, here we are. So this is my rating system. Once I've found that a game is unhinged, it's met my criteria for being unhinged enough to be considered to be ranked. I have 5 criteria by which I rank them. So number 1, easy, straightforward. How many dateable options are there? For me, this is a huge aspect of replayability of a game. How much smooch can you smooch for your buck? That's very important to me. How many different characters are you able to romance in a game? So I put that up there. Easy, straightforward, just counting. 2, bang for your buck, and that's literal, bang. Yeah. Heyo. So this, I looked at the time per run, so I timed myself on a run. Obviously, your time per run may vary, but I don't think your time per run on game A and game B relative to each other will vary significantly from my time on game A and game B relative to each other. If you don't care about this because you're blackout drunk at MAGFest at midnight, don't fucking worry about it. And I compared that to the amount of repeat content per run. So I gave it a score between 0 and 100%. How much of the content of the game when you play through is content that you've already seen, and I compared that to the cost. I did math for you. Depth of lore, aka the commitment to the bit. This is a little more subjective. I gave the game a score on a level of 1 to 10. For me, this encompasses 2 things. Number 1, if you date a new character, how much are you seeing in terms of like depth of lore that would not even be like physically visible if you were doing just a general run through of the game? But also, how deep into the lore of the world does it go? Like, are we talking like Elden Ring, like we're going around, we're finding scrolls, we're reading about like the blood curses and shit? Or is this just like a one-off, like, you know, slap a Band-Aid on it and don't call it a plot hole anymore? So for me, you may disagree on this, but I think that probably my top choices for this we will all agree on. I suspect. How unhinged is it? I looked at it, I said, how fucking crazy is it that this game exists? Like, how was this a thought that someone had? Again, this is a ranking on a scale of 1 to 10. Spiciness. This has 2 scores. I gave a game a score for how spicy it is textually and how spicy it is visually. So if you have a full sex act depicted, that is a 10 for visual spiciness. It may not have very high textual spiciness. It may do a lot with a picture. Or it may be a game that has a lot of description. Maybe you've got like loving sex about, you know, Food King, to just pick a random example that's not from a game. For me, what I did is I averaged the textual spiciness and the visual spiciness scores. Unless there was more than a 4-point difference, then it gets the win. Again, no one cares about the math that I did here. And An important caveat. I ranked these games. I genuinely had so much fucking fun playing these games. Regardless of where they ranked, I actually think that every game that I played probably is a game that was not a waste of my time, and it won't be a waste of yours if you do play it. This is just how they ranked out on my list. You may disagree in terms of like where I put games, but they're all amazing. All right. I'm going to unveil my winners. I have a runner-up for each category. Some categories had 2, just because I had 2 games I wanted to highlight. And then I have an overall pick for the best unhinged anime dating sim. Here we go. Number of potential dates. Our runner-up, Doki Doki Ragnarok. You have 13 different villages to date and raid in that order. You play as a Viking. You are romancing a village. That's what it looks like. It's blushing. Don't you see that it's blushing? That's what you do. You're a Viking. You're on a Odin-sent quest to fuck a village. I am not joking. That's the game. You have 13 different ones. It's speed date style. You will see all of your villages on your first playthrough. It's not very spicy. And again, this is a game you're probably going to replay once, maybe twice when they release the new patch of content. But it's fucking delightful. Some of the different villages. It's not like I want you to raid my coastline or anything, though, Baka. Unless, my second runner-up, Doomsday Paradise. Doomsday Paradise is a game you can play competitively with your friends. There are 14 dateable characters and 117 distinct endings. At $14.99, it's only $15 on Steam. It is a serious contender for bang for your buck. I've played about 100 hours of this game, and I've seen almost no repeat content. It's really cool. The other thing about this, which I think is very interesting, is that the dating goes hand in hand with a combat mechanic. So you're romancing someone who will fight alongside you because you need to find a date before the end of the world. The Goblin King is coming. The Black Knight is coming. The end of the world is here. Can you get a date before that happens? This is a really hard game. The answer for me was no, like a lot. I have no riz even in the anime games that I play. My unhinged rating for it was an 8, and its commitment to the bit was a 7. I gave it a 6 for spiciness. There's some hot backs. There's a little flash of booty. There's nothing that you're going to be like scandalized by. These are some of the characters you can play as. And these are the 6 main dateable options. They're really cute. But then you have Narcella. You got Micah. You got Gretchen, who is just adorable. You got Bugsy. And you have Umbra, who has a secret ending where you can help her become a Twitch streamer to grow her cult. As opposed to destroying the world, which is kind of nice. It's adorable. She's very cute. All right, and my winner is Crush Crush. This is a mobile game. It's available for free on Steam and on mobile. It does have in-app purchases, which is why I really didn't want to put it on this list because I fucking hate that. But it does have 62 different girls that you can date. The depth of lore in this one is a 3. It did not commit. Randomly, a French spy texts you pictures of herself in the bathtub and is like, I'm encoding secret information. Your food delivery girl texts you and wants to like food kink with you. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying there's no depth. It's still spicy. It's a game that had a much more textual spiciness for me. Its unhinged rating is a 5. Basically, the avatar of love comes, you're the sexy chosen one, and that's the plot. Yeah, it's an idle game. Yes, also you do fuck the bear. And also some other girls too. There's a girl who's like a cat living on the street when you crush her. It's weird, and you know that's what we're here for. There's no judgment. If this shit is your shit, be loud and fucking proud about it, my fellow degenerates. Bang for your buck, let's go. Runner up, Hooked on You, a Dead by Daylight dating sim. This, I think, is a controversial choice. Some people may disagree. There are 4 romanceable options. Basically, you get the 4 good and the 4 bad endings for those characters. There's not a lot of replayability beyond that. However, each of those games is going to take like a 5-6 hour run. These games have a lot for you to do. It may take you longer depending on how hard the mini games are for you. I gave it a 6 in terms of depth of lore. Its lore is basically the Dead by Daylight lore, except that these characters have been transplanted to an island, and now you're there and the ocean is speaking to you, and Huntress is chasing you through the woods, sexually hunting you for sport. I'm just saying this is an enticement. An unhinged rating of 8. And at $9.99, I think this game has really good replay value. It's a decent price for what you get. You probably will have more than enough time playing this game to justify that price. And yes, he does have a bejeweled codpiece. These are 2 of your tour guides on the island. They get increasingly weird as things get weirder on the island. These are your takeable options, the 4 Dead by Daylight killers. And it's got some mini games, which are like very reflex-based. You have to cut up a ham at one point. You're trying to find clues on Huntress's route, I think is where I took that screenshot. So this game has a lot to offer. My next runner-up for this, Boyfriend Dungeon. So the shtick of this game, you have people who can turn into swords, and they help you fight in the dungeon. And you build love with them by fighting in the dungeon. It plays like a dungeon fighting game, but truly at its core, what it is doing is sending you dick pics, which are just a sword posed provocatively on a pillow. It has 7 romanceable options and growing, a spiciness level of 8. Again, you just get straight dick pics. An unhinged score of 8. It's a game that has a ton of additional content. There are collectibles, there are craftables, you can make different outfits for yourself. It's $20, it's a little on the pricier side, but it's well worth it. This is Sunder. He is a sword. Like, I'm not being metaphorical. Like, you get the sword and it's a dick pic. Valeria's really cute. Really cute. And this is a screenshot of what the fighting mechanic looks like. The music in this game also cannot be understated. It's beautiful. This is a really fun game that's Rowan. There are canonically non-binary love interests, which we love and stan. There's a cat that you can use as a sword. You don't really, you kind of romance the cat. It's a little weird. And the winner is Max Gentleman's Sexy Business. If you have not played this game, you absolutely should. Max Gentleman's Sexy Business has 12 romanceable options and a few other characters beyond that you can flirt with. They will flirt with each other based on how much their relationships with each other build. There is so much fucking content in this game. Like, I'm not even technically sure that I've completed a full run, and I've played 250 hours of just this game. It is absolutely incredible how much stuff there is to do in this game. Basically, your business has been stolen by your rival, and you have to get back by assembling a harem of CEOs to help you do corporate fraud and, capitalism. At $20 again, a little on the pricier side, but like truly there's so much to do in this game. You get to fully design your character, your gentleman, you have these lunchtime events. There are so many outfits for the characters that you can have. You can play sexy blackjack. You can play sexy arm wrestling. You can make a sexy well, it's not quite as sexy, this is an early flirting mechanic. And finally, let's talk, well, not finally, but let's move on. We're going to talk about commitment to the bit. How much did this game commit to its lore? My runner-up for this, I had to, guys. I had to. There's no fucking way we were going to get through this presentation without calling out Dream Daddy. Dream Daddy, I think, it has 6 romanceable options. I think one thing that it does really well as a dating sim is that every single time you play, the only repeat content is the conflict going on with you trying to be a good dad to your daughter. Every single other thing, aside from like when you run into the dads occasionally, is fully new content. I think that's really cool. And there's stuff that you don't have any idea about the background lore of most of this until you've actually played through the roots. I think it's really cool. It's got an unhinged score of 6, from me a spiciness score of 5. It goes deep into the lore of each character. It makes it worth coming back again and again and again. I sunk so many hours into this game. It's just a good game, guys. It's just a good game. And it has a ton of mini games too. The mini games are controversial. Some of them are better than others. And let's talk about the winner. Hustle Cat is one of my favorite dating sims. Now, I'll caveat it with this. Hustle Cat is a game that's hard to replay. You will start with about an hour to an hour and a half of the exact same content pretty much every time you run. You'll see maybe a little bit different dialogue depending on like if you let Reese put on a maid outfit on you, or if you wash the dishes with Hayes as opposed to not, or if you chase after Mason when she leaves the cafe. But ultimately, like the first hour and a half is exactly the same content. It is a rough replay. It does have a fast forward that can get you through that. I've never used it, but it does work. It has 6 potential dates. It's not particularly spicy. It does have some very intense hand-holding, which almost made me want to give it an 11. Well, each run involves a lot of repeat content, like I said. It's so worth it. It's $20 on Steam. Go get this game. You play as Avery Gray. You're a trash witch. You get hired at a cat cafe. Every single one of your coworkers turns into cats when they leave, and you have to date them and help them break their curses. And every single time you play a route, you learn more about your boss, about his being a witch, about his feud with the main villain, Noct. You learn more about each character's individual magic. At one point in Reese's route, he gets into a fight with Landry, and Landry's like, nothing good comes of magic. And Reese is like, what the hell? I was raised in magic. My dad's a wizard. Like, I want to do a magical clothing line. Reese has no idea of this, but if you then go and play Landry's route, what you learn is Landry's under a curse. You see, Landry, he was cursed by an angry youth, and he thinks that he will die if he gets a little angry. It turns out he just has heartburn. Dude just needing an antacid, but he thinks it's magic. So there's a whole set of like side stories. I love Graves. He's the only man who loves cats more than I do, I think. This is Noct. He calls you Little Kitten, and then he chases you through the streets with a baseball bat. I'm just going to leave that there. But each character's story has like a minor villain accompanying them. So I think it's really worth it to each playthrough, and there's a lot of meatiness with the world building that you get. Certain characters do different things during the final fight. So like, if you do Reese's route, I did his most recently, that's why it's on my mind. You will go back and confront Noct, and you have this like whole like conversation that doesn't happen in any other route, where like Reese is like almost seduced to the dark side. And that doesn't happen in any other version of the route. And that's kind of cool that we get to see so much new content in so many different ways that this plays out in the end game. Let's talk about how unhinged it is. I think I'm running quick on time, so I'm going to go as quick as I can. The runner-up, there is no other option. I love you, Colonel Sanders. You have one romanceable option. It's free on Steam. This is just, I think it speaks for itself. Why? I don't get it, but I get it. I get it. Chicken nuggets are sexy. And the winner for this is Sucker for Love. I could give it to no other game because you, the main character, all you want is a smooch. And what you do to get that smooch is you summon an eldritch deity. You have a journal you have to do satanic rituals in. You have to pick the right color candles. You have to wear the right outfit. You have to sacrifice sometimes a turtle. What the fuck? All you want is a smooch. All you want is a smooch. You are committed to the smooch, and then you don't have a face anymore. And then this Junji Ito monstrosity appears in the sky. And then the journal that was telling you what to do next, your only objective is to survive. That's Yanhotep. At the end of this game, the way you defeat the Eldritch gods is by making them so horny for you that they are literally still dreaming of you instead of trying to wake up and destroy the world. This is Haster. And, of course, Linnea. She's so cute. Yeah, she gives you tentacles for a face. That's fine. Yeah, exactly. That was exactly my reaction, too. All right, spiciness, let's go. It's time, however, for our final piece of audience participation. Fifi, if you would, find me a human sacrifice. Speaking of spiciness, if you were an Elasmo fucker, which of these dating sims might most appeal to you? Shark Dating Simulator XL, Tentacle Prawn, Hustle Cat, or the eel route of Monster Prom? You have to know what an elasmo fucker is. I am so curious to see which fucking nerds in the room are furries as well. Do we have a sacrifice? Excellent. Viper, what do you think?
I'm going to go with D, eel root.
Eel root of Monster Prom. All right, let me see what the vote in the room is. Okay, 57% said eel root. We have no votes for Hustle Cat, fair enough. A few for shark digging and just a few for tentacle prawn. Let's see what the answer is. Shark Digging Simulator XL, Elasmo bronchi is the formal name of the subclass of cartilaginous fish that includes modern sharks, rays, skates, and sawfish. And now you all know that too, and you will forget it tomorrow. Back to spiciness. My runner-up on this, it's Romancylvania. This game is so horny. You are the disgraced Drac, and the Cabal of Shadows has set up a dating show to get you your mojo back. And that's it. That's the plot. There are 6 different dating options that you can pick here. They're all extremely attractive. It's the most expensive game on this list, but truly. You just gotta smash some pumpkins sometimes. Find the knots. No other meaning there. And the winner for this, I had to give Max Gentleman Sexy Business 2 crowns here. And this is the only game that when I was playing it on Twitch, follow me at twitch.tv/mercurialink, this is the only game I ever played that I had to turn on censorship features for. The only game. It is the horniest game that I have ever played while still not being a hentai game. Just... Let's talk about this. There is a side game where you can sword play with your assistants, your CEOs, and you rip off their clothes, and then the outfit that you get is them in their underwear. That's Vicky Lestrange. She's my favorite. Overall high score! Okay, so we are nearing the end. I want to shout out 2 very quickly games that did not rank for me in any of these categories, but were still delightful to play. Really quickly, Helltaker, it's a puzzle game. There's 11 Girls You Can Speed Date. This is an easy game to get through. Basically, you're trying to make a harem of demon girls. It's not a game that you're going to replay a ton just because there's not a lot more to see on your second run. But it's free, number 1. We love free. And number 2, it's so cute. And the demons are really hot. How do you like the Sin Machine? Do you like the Sin Machine? Yeah, we love the Sim Machine. And Kaishu, a game with a very different vibe. There are 6 monsters that you can date. You're a kaiju. You destroy national monuments together. If you've ever thought, the light of us burning down the Golden Gate Bridge together is so romantic and sexy, this is the game for you. It's really good. It's also $10. You're going to play every single route of this game. You really will. You also have non-binary love interests. You have love interests who use neo-pronouns, which is something I'm not going to explain to you. You're going to have to Google because we really do not have time. We got to get through our last couple of slides. My runner-up aside, my number 1 dating sim, the most unhinged anime dating sim, Monster Prom. Over 20 potential dates. I clocked it in at 24 with every single secret ending in the base game. There are thousands of interactions and I think almost 10,000 different outcomes to those interactions. Almost every playthrough you do will be completely different. This is another game that you can play competitively with your besties. Up to 4 players can vie for the love of a single love interest if you really want to fuck over your friends. This is a great way to do it. The lore is so deep. It is insane to me how deep each character's stories go for a game that's as flippant as this, because it feels like the lore is very superficial, and then you find Polly's grandmother's locket, or then you end the world as a prank accidentally, or maybe you destroy the monarchy of the mer people in a surf uprising because fuck the monarchy and fuck capitalism. I'm sorry. That's what I'm into. That's what gets me hot. Fuck the monarchy. Let's just, you guys ever get sexually attracted to AI? Yeah? Okay, well, good. Keep it going. There's a furry king ending. My girl. I feel like that needs no definition. There's, I think he goes crazy with lust while drawing yaois. I think the story there. Yep. We love Zoe. Truly we do. Does anyone here know what a reverse Romanian Wilkerson is? All right, those of you who did not cheer, you're going to need to go get penguin masks, some avocado, a bag full of marbles, and then you're going to go play Monster Prom, and it'll give you a really good guide as to what to do. And all of these characters aside, like, it literally keeps going. There's so many characters you can fucking date, and you can have an orgy at the end of it all with all of them. This game, I think, is, for me, the gold standard of unhinged anime dating sims. I got you, fam. I'm on my last bit. Because it has so many of these good elements of twisting what the genre is, finding this tongue-in-cheek way to talk about what a dating sim is, while also being so fun to play, having so much content, being so fucking weird, and yet still being hot as hell and giving us some really nice booty and some really nice titty. In conclusion, dating sims have always been weird as fuck, you guys, and they're weirder, they're more queer, they're crazier, they're more about furries. It's fucking awesome. What started as something very close to simulated dating has come through this long journey, and it's arrived at basically making neo-doggism the new horny. It's awesome. And you guys should go play a dating sim right now. If you're interested in any of the games, you should take a picture of this slide. This is all of the games I mentioned in this presentation. Again, we are over time. I have been twitch.tv/Mercurial Lake. Thank you so much for coming. Happy MAGFest, everybody!